Welcome back to episode 1, part 2.
So I'm sure we can all admit that the male gaze and the female gaze are two gazes that are always adopted onto us.
Yeah.
But regardless of who does it, an objectification is still an objectification.
Yeah.
Okay, now we spoke about our personal experiences, and unfortunately, we've been put in these unfortunate situations as women. Let's talk about in media, okay? We're always exposed to constant media every single day. We're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube. Let me think about one thing that connects all of us. We all watch anime,
Yes.
right? Now, personally, I felt that in anime, I see a lot of male gaze being projected directly onto these animated fictional figurines.
Sadly, yes.
Service.
So, I have the current anime I just finished watching, which I am obsessed with.
One
I think
Piece.
most of you know what it is. Yes, One Piece is very famous for the way, the manga artist, the way he draws women is the basic hourglass figure, which is big breasts and small waist, and it's very prominent. Anyone who sees it, sometimes you look at it and you go oh, do they have bones? Because you're so shocked by how the small waist is. But basically, since it's a very long running anime, they have a change of directors quite frequently. And usually it's always a male director directing it. And when there's a male director directing the episode, you can see there's always a lot of breast movements and a lot of emphasis on the woman's body part.
And the camera direction will always pan out into the chest.
Yeah, that's how it always
the
starts.
feet, and then it's the legs, the
And
thighs,
in my
the
head, I'm
hips,
genuinely
and then the
wondering
chest.
why.
Yeah.
There are so many things. There is this beautiful mountain in the background, but no, we will pan out into
They
the
do that in
chest.
Demon
And the
Slayer
worst
also,
part
yeah.
is when this character has absolutely no relevancy to the plot line besides their body.
In One Piece, what the clear it's you can clearly see the male gaze versus the female gaze in One Piece is because when they changed directors, they changed it to a female director, and that episode was so different from what the previous One Piece episodes used to be, because in the old ones it's always there's always at least a minute about a woman's body part, but in this it's always when the female directed it, it's there was nothing. It was normal sized. It was a normal body. It's you're looking at a normal woman's body, and you can clearly see the difference,
So we've already established that a lot of media is dominated by men, hence they set the standard for what the gaze in filming and cinematography is. So as of 2020, 78.9% of movie directors of theatrical films were male. So most of media is dominated by men and thus dominated by the male gaze. And we see this when we see how women are portrayed in a specific manner, like Alana said in the anime that she watches, One Piece, with small waist, large chest, with little to no body hair, and they seem
There is no body hair.
Yeah, it's that's very unrealistic, and it's supposed to be perfection. This sets the standard for women, and it kind of emphasizes that this is how you're meant to look, and thus it becomes common, and you push the male gaze at the forefront of media making. And then when women make films themselves, they're expected to follow the standard that's been set by their predecessors who were male directors.
Yeah.
I think there was a law, in Japan, if I'm not very, very sure, but they said that if you're above a certain weight category, and in the clinic, in the hospital, you will be requested by the government to lose weight because you're,
Oh yeah, I've heard of this.
and this is specified to women.
That's crazy. What the heck?
It reminds me of this Margaret Atwood quote that goes, you're a woman with a man inside watching a woman. You're your own warrior. And this is how we all have the male gaze inbuilt in us, because men set these standards of what they want women to look like, and women tend to dress up in a way that will please the man that they want to please. And so when they dress up or when they do certain things, if you're looking in the mirror, you're looking at yourself through the gaze of the man that's in you. So then you look at yourself and then you see if you're satisfying all the things that the male gaze needs you to satisfy.
Yeah, like when you wear a skirt and then you haven't like shaved past a certain point and then the hair shows and then you think to yourself, oh, you can see my hair, and then you like
It becomes a problem.
yeah, but like that shouldn't be a problem.
It's only recently where it's like people are becoming more accepting
body
of it.
hair, yeah.
So that's basically
That's like that's like the break in this sort of mentality,
Yeah.
And it's a good break. And because we are so pressured by this, we kind of are expected to dress like this.
And it's so common that we associate our value with our physical appearance, like how the TikTok that Alana mentioned in the beginning, people, when they were dressing feminine, they associated their physical appearance of looking feminine to be catering to the male gaze, and then when they started dressing masculine, they were like, oh, we have more control over ourselves because we're dressing masculine, and so now they're not actually trying to satisfy the male gaze, but whereas they're actually still doing the same thing where they're judging themselves and seeing if they're still being viewed like that.
And at the end of the day, that just draws back to the concept of misogyny. And they say that shifting from a feminine appearance to masculine appearance essentially makes them view themselves as a better version of themselves. But all this does is just associate femininity to weakness and masculinity to strength. It doesn't shift your personal view from the male to female gaze. So like going back to the quote, you essentially are a woman with a man inside of you watching yourself.
In the eyes of a man.
Yeah.
Again, the TikTok example, it's just that like when you're changing from masculine to feminine, you're not going from the male gaze to the female gaze. It's again just male gaze versus male gaze because you're still like judging yourself based on your like outer physical appearance.
And this whole concept of dressing feminine or masculine has nothing to do with your like innate qualities and values as a human being. If you want to dress, if you want to wear a sweatshirt, a hoodie, and like a snapback and walk around the road, it's okay. No one has the right to even tell you that you dress like a boy or a girl, because those kind of heteronormative views on society no longer exist.
Yeah.
And speaking on the basis of attraction and where we go back to the cafe problem, we have to understand that when we talk about the male gaze and the female gaze, it does not mean that we are pushing the basic human concept of looking at someone and then first and foremost seeing their physical appearance or as the male gaze.
Yeah. Because like context plays a huge part in this. Like you can look at someone and look at their like waist or like their hands or like and go like, oh, you'll have really nice hands, you have a really nice waist, but it doesn't mean you're like sexualizing them or objectifying them. You're just looking at it as something.
It's admiration.
Yeah, it's like something you'd want in an ideal situation. That's what your view of
Gender envy.
gender envy. Yeah, like Kai, EXO, Jimin, BTS. Come on, they all have small
many
waists.
fictional
It's something that I want. It's not that I'm sexualizing them. It's just I look at them as a role model of what I'd want to be in the future.
And like when you look at a person, you can't like erase their like physically like take a erasing tool and erase their body and look at their eyes and be like, that is a great person.
Because the first thing you look at in a person is their physical features.
It's when it goes deeper and then you look at that person and then you objectify and sexualize those physical parts, that it becomes a male gaze. And then when you look at those physical parts and then your next mode of action is to personify them and then attribute character traits to them, that is female gaze.
And like in a simpler form is like you make it weird. Like you yourself, your gaze, you make it weird. Like you can be looking at the same thing, but there is this person with a completely like neutral admiration view, and there is this like creep who thinks of it and makes it weird. I feel like the quote here is stop making things weird.
Yeah.
Right? Like
appreciate
I see this with fictional characters too. Like I look at this character in this game that I play and like it'll be a boy, but I'll be like, this
Genshin.
is gender Genshin, like Zhao from Genshin Impact is stealing your gender.
Yeah. So it's basically what you would want. I feel like context does play a huge matter in male gaze versus female gaze. There's like a difference between objectifying and sexualizing, and then there's a difference between personifying.
And like even like certain situations, I guess an example would be like you're staring at a person. Like if I'm staring at, let's say, a girl and I see a very nice dress, but the girl will be like, oh, why are you staring at me? Stop staring at me. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I really want to just ask you, where did you get your dress from? There's nothing behind it.
I wouldn't entirely blame her because if I saw somebody staring at me.
But then you also
it's so ingrained into you.
I feel like it's so unfortunate that women and like just humans in general have to think like that other people, because that is how male gaze has spread.
yeah.
It's like an infection, and everyone's just making it
You
weird.
can't. It's better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
You know. So that's their mindset, and I don't blame them.
We'll be looking more into the aspect of the male gaze and female gaze in specifically Japanese media and anime and the explicit content that stems from Japanese media in the next episode. So stay tuned for that, where we expand on the ethical implications behind the two gazes, specifically in anime and explicit Japanese media. Thank you for listening.